According to Planning New South Wales, Greater Sydney, Greater Sydney housing supply is forecast to increase by 172,900 homes over the next 6 years to 28-29, averaging 28,800 additional dwellings per year. In the 12 months to June 2024, only 21,000 new dwellings were built. Residential land values increased by 8% in 2023-24, commercial land increased by 3.9% and rural land by 1.6%. The Valuer General, Sally Dale, noted the growth in demand for housing and the price rises are probably not healthy and add to the strain on home buyers. How many people do you think New South Wales should have in 2035?
As in our population? Yeah, I mean, that's a good question.
How come you don't know?
Well, I think in fairness to me and the government, it's heavily dependent on the circumstances. What's our economy doing? Are we able to get housing going? Is it sustainable? Is it sustainable for the environment? Is it sustainable for the economy? Are we able to grow our productive base while dealing with an ageing demographic and population whilst ensuring that we keep service delivery high? Most of those things, Mr. Chair, are variable. And so I know what the Commonwealth Government's plans are for the next 3 or 4 years, but you'd appreciate that it's a rapidly changing situation, and the government takes that into consideration.
Do you think that there should be in New South Wales a whole of government population policy that clearly sets out the in terms of, we do intergenerational reports, an aspiration for how big we should be, where those people are coming from, where they're going to live, and the infrastructure that's going to service them?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't dismiss it out of hand. I mean, I think in the circumstances, planning, particularly long-range planning, is hugely important in terms of allocation of infrastructure and assets. One thing we do know is that people want to come to Australia. We take the majority of inbound migrants. 37% of inbound migrants come to New South Wales, in particular Sydney. Puts big pressure on the budget, on our infrastructure, on services. But a lot of people from around the world want to come to our country. I think that we need to make sure that it's done in an orderly way and that we're planning for the future. The Commonwealth Government has said to the states that they want us to be more involved in planning for population rises in the years ahead. We take that at face value. We want to be more involved in the debate and the argument about where people will live. I just make the point that I want to have input, but ultimately this decision will be made by Commonwealth ministers, Minister for Immigration and Prime Ministers. And I'm not going to be in a situation, it'll be very easy for me to come to the committee and say, oh, look, I'm going to take a mulligan on housing, I'm going to take a mulligan on infrastructure, I'm not going to build public transport.
Mulligan? What's a mulligan?
I'm going to whiff it, I'm going to pretend it didn't happen. It'd be very easy for me to do that and blame the Commonwealth Government, but the truth of the matter is it wouldn't fix anything in New South Wales, and I just need to get on with particularly building housing.
Wouldn't we, there's a COAG Treasurers Council on population, wouldn't we be better armed, and I don't know what work that's done, if any, but wouldn't we be better armed in those negotiations with the Commonwealth over infrastructure spending, over the provision of services, if we had our own population policy to take to that COAG meeting to take to negotiations with the federal government?
Yeah, I mean, I think that'd be a good idea. Whether various stripes at the Commonwealth level would listen to us or not, I can't answer. I don't know. But I mean, to the extent that they listen to the states when it comes to the distribution of population and as a result the concurrent spending on infrastructure, that'd be a good thing. I just want them to acknowledge, whoever's in power in Canberra, that we take the most number of inbound migrants, and as a result of that, we need a fairer distribution of GST and we need more money for essential infrastructure for a growing city. Sydney's the only international city in Australia. It's vital for the success and health of the Australian economy. It's not an economy that's dependent on the extraction of natural resources to be sent around the world. It adds to the diversity and the complexity of the economy. And if you start hobbling Sydney and just expect it to keep turning over, it's a real risk for economic growth in a country like Australia. So yeah, I'd like greater understanding and appreciation from the Commonwealth about the challenges for New South Wales. But I imagine every Premier you've had at this table said the same thing.
In terms of population, Premier, are you what's your understanding of the population of East Asia? Is it growing or declining, or it's it's our biggest trading market? It's it's incredibly important in terms of geopolitical security, economic prosperity in Australia.
Well, I mean, look, I only know about reports I've read in relation to particularly, if you take the Asian region, particularly in relation to China. The one-child policy has meant that they've got an ageing population. The median age in China is rising. I think it might even be 49, or it's pretty high.
It's 50.
Is it? The average age in Australia is 39. That's a big competitive advantage for our economy, but it does mean that as that ageing cohort grows in a place like China, the call on iron ore resources and other things from a country like Australia will proportionally decline. I don't think it's going to fall off a cliff, but it does mean that we always have to be looking actively for other markets and other goods. It's not just China, it's also Japan,
Taiwan, Thailand. It's all East Asia.
China's median age is even higher than Japan's even higher than China, I think. And 1/3 of our exports is a single product, and it goes to one destination, which is Japan.
Are you aware that Japan's population fell by nearly 1 million people last year?
It doesn't surprise me, but I wouldn't have known the number.
Do you think that we should be doing an analysis of global population, especially in terms of East Asia, Southeast Asia, and its potential impact on our economic development? Because we've never had a flourishing economy anywhere in the world with in any jurisdiction with a declining population.
Well, by exception, we are doing that. I mean, not specifically about population trends in the Southeast Asian region, but in terms of future economic growth, it is a major priority for the New South Wales government, and I think it should be further on the agenda in the body politic of the state. And the reason for that is New South Wales' number one export is coal. It goes to basically one destination. 1/3 of it goes to Japan and other trading countries throughout Southeast Asia. All of those economies have indicated to Australia and New South Wales that they'll be getting out of that commodity in the years ahead. Now, they'll do it at different rates and they'll do it in different ways, but given it's our largest export, and we sold about $40 billion of it, I think, last year, in the years ahead, not tomorrow and not in 5 years, but down the line, we need to fill a $40 billion export hole. And that means new industries and backing entrepreneurs and opening new enterprises, particularly export-led enterprises. And I think New South Wales is well placed to do that, but we've got to get a hurry on.
Thank you, Premier.